tomorrow, right?
We're going live on YouTube right now. Just letting you know.
In case we want to call trip.
Just so everyone knows. And I said,
That is it is a
that
nice
was for me,
announcement.
Susan, not you. You're just. No worries. Jake started talking about school. We both done our job well.
But we'll see. I don't know. He's, yeah.
I'm also in denial right now.
Hello, how are you?
I have the report printed then. If you wanted to copy.
How are you, sir?
Yeah. I mean, I did have the first thing
I just really did. Yeah, we are.
That's what that part is about.
We thought our call ours.
It wasn't, but I believe you're.
It's work.
We do have an event, but it's not allowed.
And then everybody's like, oh, okay, that's their phone. Thanks. I just don't have the energy to charge it. You're like, what? Oh, yes.
I want people up there. I want to It's weird. It's weird going out there. It's kind of weird going out there.
I'm like, well, this is my background.
I've seen it they work out. And you don't think that many people are
And
going
then
out
there
there.
would be conversation
Or
interaction.
Joe and I will be back up there. I already put it in my house. The sisters are having it. And it's not even Friday. I want it like 10 days off. We know it, so I have to take Friday off. I'm going to Charlotte. it already, use some pushing it. He was over full. So I was saying, he has to retire in tours. Now, and she, oh,
Is September meeting on the 12th and the 19th? It is. I'm asking, I'm not even sure. I was forgetting what they said.
Rough seafood. Yeah, it is.
19th.
Yeah. And I put all the on the bottom. Yeah, the agenda, if you look all the way at the bottom.
I mean,
You got over there. You got jokes?
They're there.
Got them?
I'm off that week before. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
It's a good fly.
Ridiculous request.
Yeah. You got to reply. You should reply. Why you not?
Doesn't have two of them, I guess.
When do they
Right.
start CFCI?
You started last week.
What about him? I mean, what, how
That's,
are they feeling that? So, excited. It's interesting. I think it was good that Mark got his number and then
there you go.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
That's good.
Remind him to into the dishwasher.
And is Jay excited about being in civil? So he is, but.
I think it's gonna be good.
You want me to get the door?
You
I
might.
got
Thanks, Patrick. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We don't have any to chat. Any faculty members or community members? Great. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the minutes from July and August, July 18th and August 8th. Are there any questions or clarifications or edits that need to be made? If not, take a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Co-directors report.
Yes, I will begin. Do you want to? Sure. Sure. You're even this.
They did.
Can you repeat the motion? Great. Neil made the motion.
Neil,
And
yeah.
seconded, and Laura.
That's right.
I do have copies over on this table if anybody's interested. They are linked in your document as well. So we'll start with the balance sheet. We don't have a traditional looking budget just yet because we're just into the fiscal year. So next month I will have some updates for you regarding the new format with CFP. But these were some of the year-end fiscal year 23 numbers. The budget balance sheet just reflects all of our accounts and our standing cash balance, essentially assets as well. So we're a little over $2 million in total assets, and reserves and equity is 2.123. We also, I did want to draw your attention to the negative number. So if you'll note on the top line of cash OP Truist 8409, you'll see the 950 291.61. And then at the very bottom, it's the same account with a negative balance of $8,499.32. So I had inquired about this report to the company and there was an explanation there. So this is basically explaining, and I'm going to read this to you so that I don't misrepresent the information. This is simply the balance of that account from Fund 5 in the accounting system. The actual balance of 8409, which is our checking account, is the sum of the 8409 accounts. So Fund 2 for 950K, the true balance is around 940. So to explain that. It's just for the different codes that they have in the accounting system. Fund 5, if you'll note, that first number says 5 on the last line, and at the top you'll see the front number is the 2. So it's the different accounts, it's how it's represented. It is being corrected for record for our audit. So this will not look in the negative, but I just wanted to draw your attention and explain that. In general, we are in sound fiscal health with regard to our assets, and we have very limited liabilities. These numbers are going to change when they officially close out the fiscal year 23. So we still are receiving checks. For example, I just got a DHHS grant check today that has to be deposited. They're still reconciling purchases that should reflect on fiscal year 23. So these numbers won't be exact, but this is an estimate of where we stand, and we are in good standing. Anybody have any questions there? Great. Then I will move into our, we also have links to our budget analysis report. I'm going to pull that up in my paper format. So this is basically what our budgets will look like moving forward. There will also be a projection column. So based on our spending, how much are we projected to spend, and do we need to adjust and make edits to the budget accordingly? So you'll note, if you're looking at the percent used, which is what I focus on, this is what we've budgeted for and how much we've spent toward that budgeted number. So when you're looking at salaries and wages, these are predictable expenses for the most part. The only thing that you're not accounting for there is if you have a change in staffing and you have a significant change in salary. Something like that would be something that we might not have budgeted for, but it would be either an expense or something where we wouldn't be expending as much. But we've been right on target there, 96.69. Benefits is another pretty predictable number. That number fluctuates mildly from year to year, but we have a cost of $73.70, it was last year, per person who opted for those benefits. So it's a projected cost that we're easily able to account for. Books and supplies, we were under budget there, but please do note that this includes our playground, the remaining cost of the playground that went under instructional supplies under PRC 181, which is our ESSER-free grant. Ben's gonna have an update on the playground in a few, but that money will be spent down. So that's not something where we're looking at way over budgeting. Contracted student services. So to the person with not the detailed budget, this looks like, why in the world did we spend 135% of this budget? The important thing to note is this accounts for field trips. That's where that's hitting. That is money in, money out. But we didn't account appropriately for our field trip expenditures because we didn't anticipate that we were going to be taking those. We didn't know what we were going to be encountering coming into next year. We did wind up going to Washington, D.C. and Williamsburg. So that's where those numbers are hitting. We have updated our budget for this year to reflect the fact that we're going to be hitting around $50,000 for that. So that's why that's there. That is not saying we overspent by $32,000. Staff development, we're hitting at 84.34, so not quite as high as we budgeted for. That's something that we'll just want to make sure we keep an eye on for this year and determine whether or not we need to have that budget line item as high as it was. That was some grant money that was spent down completely, so we did have a little padding that we normally wouldn't have in a year that we don't have ESSER funding. We pulled some from 181 for Heidi Mills. We had some staff development from 171, which is your ESSER $2. So just bear in mind. Administrative services, this is right on point here. This is something where we have contracted services like our technology contracted service, our custodial contracted services. These are all hitting here. These are pretty predictable costs. If you do remember, we did have to adjust our budget a bit because we changed over our contracted custodial services after a few months into the year when that wasn't working out. We did change to our current company. So we did account for that and hit the mark fairly well there. Insurances, that overage is simply because our general liability insurance went up just a bit, and we did opt for that student accident insurance policy, if you recall, back in December, January timeframe, we paid $1,800 for that to cover accident insurance for our students. So that's where that's coming from. Rents and debt service, that's your mortgage. It's 100% predictable. We know exactly what we're paying every month, and we pay that bill every month through auto draft with Truist. We have the loan through Truist, and our checking account is through Truist, so there's no surprise there. Facilities, we were under budget, but again, we had a big year in facilities, and some of those purchases that you would have seen from last summer would be hitting this fiscal year's budget, including a portion of the floors. So the expenses were high. That's not a typical budget for facilities, and we're not budgeting and projecting that way moving forward. Utilities, we over budgeted our electric by about $30,000. So that's one that is difficult to predict because based on previous trends, it looked like we would be hitting around 60,000. We only came in around 35. It's not bad news, but I still like to be cautious with things like that. You never know how those expenses are going to come in. So we did over budget for that, and we'll keep an eye on that moving forward. Transportation and travel, that was written into our budget for part of our endowment grant. All of that money, so basically 5,000 was allotted in our budget for, fuel costs, expenses with the bus. We factored those into the field trip costs last year. We'll continue to do that this year. We did spend all of the endowment on the bus itself. So we put all of that $80,000 into the bus, and then of course borrowed some from our reserve as well. Technology, we did not spend nearly as much as we anticipated in technology, and those line items were high. We're thinking from previous year spending and anticipated grant money that would have been allocated elsewhere as well. So we had different plans for ESSER funding at one point. I'm thinking that's how that was factored in, and then we decided on the playground. So when you're looking at technology, those are some of the things to bear in mind there. Our current budget reflects much more moderate spending in line with what we would experience in a typical year. Non-cap equipment and leases. So this is where we purchased, also to consider, our cap equipment and leases. The cap equipment is the bus. And I think we talked about this here before. Cap equipment is $5,000 or more per item. So we had incorrectly coded our Chromebooks because we were spending well over $5,000 on Chromebooks, but they're not $5,000 per item. So that's where that discrepancy was, and we had to indicate later on that our Chromebooks were in fact non-cap equipment. So you'll see that reflected there as well. Nutrition and food, we're fairly spot on. We're over budgeting, but I'd much rather do that. This is for our students who receive free and reduced lunch. And these costs, as we well know with our grocery bills, are very unpredictable, and we have to account for inflation as well. This does also account for our My Hot Lunchbox orders. So the students, we are actually increasing that to 2 times a week this year, but at least once a week, our free and reduced lunch students do get those meals as well. Capital campaign is our sign, which has been paid for, and we are awaiting that, and that's in our facilities report, but that has been paid for and satisfied on the fiscal year 23 budget. And then our DHHS grant, we have sent that out completely. We got our final check today for the June expenditures, and that will be deposited into the bank tomorrow. So overall, we're looking at a fairly well represented budget, spending 95% overall of our expected costs. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? And that's all for me. I'm going to introduce, but I think everybody's familiar with Ben Rose, and he is our front office and facilities manager, and he has offered to share the facilities report. He's doing all the work in that area.
I'll face this way. Not to be rude. So we thought it would be a good idea. We do these monthly, but to really give everybody a recap of what we've done over the summer and over the past months leading into the school year, to give everybody a good idea of what we've been doing and what we're going to continue to do. Starting off with, as Susan mentioned, the sign, the long-awaited sign, has in fact been purchased. We at this point are simply waiting on permitting. The sign company that we contracted with, they thankfully are handling that for us. But checked in with them just this week, and that's where we are still where we are. It's suspected that we're not alone in that stack up with waiting on permits. So the sign will be coming in. It's just a question of exactly when. As soon as we know, we will obviously let y'all know when that's happening.
That's the one for the front of the building?
For actually,
On the
Shipyard
other
side,
side.
yes, and it is a similar monument sign. In the fact that it is a rectangle to the front, so give you an idea, yeah. So that's it for the sign for now. The playground, as you can see, is going in. There are pieces in the ground and they are in cement. So we're very excited about that. This project has been, has taken some unexpected delays, and we are maintaining constant contact with the contractor to ensure as best we can on our end that the playground will be complete and receive all the necessary approvals with the inspections for us to be able to enjoy the playground at the start of the school year. That's about where we are with that.
Are they coming out tomorrow, they say?
The last word I got from them was yes, they will be here tomorrow, and that it would be completed by end of day tomorrow. So we will see what happens at the end of the day tomorrow.
Some of that's out of your control.
Yeah, we are controlling as much as we can without crossing lines. So that's where we are with the playground. Although I have to tell you, it looks fantastic. What's up there looks fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't mind playing on it. So when the kids are really gonna enjoy it when it finally happens.
Wear play clothes.
What's that? Yes.
Wear play clothes on Friday.
No open toe shoes.
Okay.
So moving on from the playground, we are continuing with the painting schedule to keep the rooms fresh and hide the marks that don't go away with the magic Mr. Eraser. So we were able to paint 5 classrooms. We have the NPR has been painted. And it looks fantastic. Y'all probably haven't had a chance to see it, but I really do think it looks fantastic. In addition to that, Cassell spent a lot of time really scrubbing those floors and doing a nice detailed job on them. So it really does look sparkly. So with that came in at a total cost of $92.50. And with that, we were able to freshen up all of the entry doors. Fresh coats of paint, just to keep us in shape. We've completed the transition to UniFirst, which was our janitorial supply. Our dispensers have been installed, and now it's just a matter of our weekly delivers when school starts, and they'll begin next week actually for that. And let's see, we just completed, as of the 14th, we've had 11 windows replaced through various rooms in the building. Mainly, they were all concentrated on the elementary wing. The way the sun rises and sets, it just eats into those, and they're the original windows, so they have certainly served their time. But the sun just decays and erodes the rubber gaskets, the seals. So it was time, and we went ahead and pushed through with that. And that came in a bit over $4,000 for those windows to be replaced. We performed some air quality testing throughout the building. I'm happy to say that the report came back that we are well within, mold and fungi live everywhere, so we're not going to escape it, but we are well below the standard for interior for dwellings as far as particulates go. So with that, anywhere from 1 to 1,500 parts per million, is my understanding from the testing, is acceptable. Our highest number was 300, just over 300. So, which was fantastic. We did though find some fresh spores in one of the classrooms, so we have, but still well within limits. But we've gone ahead and scheduled for a complete cleaning of those units for those classrooms. So that's scheduled for September 15th. And we will make those air quality tests with that, and we'll just make sure that we'll be tracking it so we can continue that and get the whole building. Additional projects, we've got, we're gonna keep on with the sign, the playground. We have a big thing that we have been working towards is a central key system for the locks. We have quite a few locks that just had a single key, and there was no consistency. So we put a lot of time and effort and continue to simplify that process out of organization, but number one, out of security, because we simply had no capacity to track access to as properly as we should, and we do have that now. Let's see, in addition, all floors, all carpets and carpeted chairs have been sanitized. We cleaned and sanitized. We have those coming in 3 times a year. The service come in and do that, and that's about $900 per visit, but well worth it. We get a lot more use and a lot of longevity out of those textiles because of the regular maintenance. I do see I skipped something. We have transitioned our paper files to digital, which we need to do and to keep up with. So we will continue that, but that effort is well underway, and have already, for a while now, been able to access those materials through the portal. So that's quite helpful with that. And we will continue to work through the maintenance requests for the classrooms. We've been able to, in hindsight and with some postmortem over the summer, we've been able to realize where we can tighten up on some areas and making sure that we deliver on time and when we need to. And so we put some standards in place to make sure that that happens, and we'll continue monitoring that to make sure everybody is seeing as necessary.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
You want to do that?
We can do it together.
Okay. There we go.
All right, so moving into the school safety update, I think we mentioned this before, just keeping this out there. We expect that this school safety grant, the Safer Schools grant, will be re-upped for the 23-24 school year. We're going to apply for it as soon as it's open, and we will discuss with our safety team what our needs are and what we'd like to apply for with regard to that spending. The entire staff will be engaging in the scenario-based ALICE training with Ben and I this Friday. So our safety team is trained, and then they are going to assist with kind of crowd control and helping us to facilitate that training on Friday of this week. Why don't you talk about the visitor management?
Okay. We have, those of you who've been for a while, you're very familiar with the Identikit visitor management system. We're always asking for driver's license for any visitors coming in. You must check in. We have moved away from Identikit and are now moving in. Navigate 360 is our newest visitor management system. It's a more user-friendly system, and definitely has a much more proactive dashboard from an administrative end for us to manage visitors coming in and out of the building. So that has been successfully installed, and we will begin that use as a community the 22nd when students return. So we have you got the safety team.
So members of the school safety team are meeting with local agencies to fine tune the safety management plan. This has been a topic of concern on our school community and our school, everyone. We have met with Coastal Horizons. We are establishing a relationship with the business to just extend to be good neighbors, but also be proactive in how we're monitoring our campus and how we're sharing this space. So we already met with them once. We will be meeting with them again this week to discuss their safety plan compared to our safety plan and get some feedback that they received from the sheriff's department as well. We will be meeting with the Wilmington Police Department as well to see what their take is on. We've already had the risk assessment. We reported on that last year, so we knew where we needed to address in terms of building security, and we checked those boxes. This is simply about patrols, monitoring, regular presence, how we can bolster that on our campus to ensure that we are being monitored by local authorities as well on a more regular basis. Coastal Horizons does have a security team, and they have just switched over to a new vendor for that security team, so they're beginning to work with them and onboard them and train them, and we're looking to make those contacts as well. They're not our security team, but it's important that we all know one another and we're working together to ensure that all of our campuses are safe for the people that we serve. So that's part of our work as a safety team. All trees and large shrubs have been trimmed by our contracted ground service to prevent blind spots. That was one of the things that was recommended in our safety report was, there are areas that were not easily visible. So there were hiding spaces that we were getting rid of. So there is, if you notice and you look across campus, you will see they're much more substantially trimmed back, and we can see into these locations. So that alone is going to create more of a barrier to people who are trying to hide. An updated signage has been ordered and will be placed around the campus. We talked about this last year. More no trespassing signs. Not that the signs really prevent behavior, but it's just posted more clearly, and we have that to fall back on to just simply reference the fact that this is trespassing if you are on our campus. So we'll continue to update our signage and make sure that we have them in appropriate places so that we are able to monitor that. And then I will turn it over to you for the technology report. So Ben has done, for those of you who don't know, we have transitioned the lead in technology over to Ben Rose for facilities. This was previously Ben Pierce. And given that his work as a 4 through 8 coordinator is a little more tailored to instruction than it is technology, it's more appropriate for Ben Rose to take over this responsibility. So he's been working this summer with our contracted technology company to get us on board for this year.
Yeah, it has been a fun challenge, I should say. I'll start out with that. So I've enjoyed the aspects of it, but I will say this: we are in a good place in the sense of knowing what we have, and are going ground up from there. We have implemented an update plan and maintenance plan for faculty laptops. So we've got that beginnings that has come through successfully. They've been inventoried and distributed. We are waiting on a couple of devices that new devices that will be ordered. Everybody has a device now, but we will be replacing some additional ones as well, just to make sure we're not caught in a lurch at the last minute. The 10 laptops referenced here, those have all been put into service and distributed. So we'll be ordering additional 3 to put into service as well. We have and I don't see one in here right now. Oh, yes. So we have the Chromebook cards for all of the classrooms. I should clarify for the 2-3 on up classrooms, those have been assigned. The Chromebooks have been assigned to the classrooms and inventory. We've been able to inventory those not only by classroom, but we've also inventoried those by the age of the operating system. So we are able to better track down to the grade level of when they are going to expire. So we have a much better handle on budgeting for the future. We'll know what we need when we need it in advance. So with that, and we've been also, one of the areas that needed improvement as expressed, and it did, by the K1 teachers, because they use iPads rather than their Chromebooks, is they really struggled with organization and the ability to mass charge 20-some iPads at the same time. So we have installed a 30-port charging bricks in each one of those classrooms, and they are working swimmingly, knock on wood. So that has been done, and those devices have also been inventoried as needed and redistributed to the classroom. As you can imagine, we have a lot of technology in all of the classrooms, down to the phones. So we do, we've done a huge amount of inventory, but we will continue to do that inventory to make sure, and that's not going to stop as devices come out of service. New ones will be put in, so it's going to be just to keep rolling on with that process. And with that, upcoming projects moving on, we will continue the same inventory aspect with furniture. We have a much better idea of what we have as far as asset, and we will be able to begin to build a depreciation list, which will also be quite helpful as far as budgeting and how we're going to move forward when we need new fixtures. And as always, we're going to continue to regroup. We're going to continue to look critically at what we do and our practices, and make adjustments as needed. If anybody has any questions, please ask, or feel free to email, and we'll get those answered for you.
Thank you. And there I do want to mention for policies, and this is it for me, I promise. There are 2 sections of policy that our contracted lawyer has returned to me. So I will send them out to you all for review. She did indicate in particular that there were some on the facilities, no comments were fine there, and technology was the other one. So not the big ones that we really discussed during our retreat. But in particular in technology, she noted several policies that are on that particular policy that we don't need. So I thought that was helpful information to say you don't need a policy that identifies X, Y, or Z. So I'll send those off to you. Important to note, and I'll mention this in my communication, you do have to download the Word document in order to see her comments. It's not, if you just click on it from the email, you're not going to see any red line going through those. So I'll send them out to you, and as I receive the other policies, I'll send them as well, with the hope that by our September meeting, we will have an opportunity for the board to vote on and implement the policies in total. But and that's it for me. And then, thank you.
So, we're ready for our first report. So, for the first part of the report, it involves enrollment. We're actually okay. We're not as good as we'd like to be, but we're okay. And kind of where we tend to be this time of year with people kind of in flux. We have 1 pending student in kindergarten, otherwise we have an enrollment of 39. This was as of last Friday. There's been a couple of little changes throughout, but overall, this is where we are. 39 in first grade with 1 pending, 2 in, and we have healthy wait list in all of these grades that I'm telling you about. So it's just a matter of once one accepts, it's gonna stick, but we do have enough that I'm not overly worried. 43 in second grade with 1 pending, and 43 in third grade with 1 pending. In 4, 5, 6, and 7, we have a solid 48 in each of those grade levels. And then in 8th grade, I think, we've talked about this a little bit. We were at 46, but one decided that it wasn't going to work because of transportation. And that's okay. So we are still left with 3 open seats. So posting, asking, blasting, trying to find some additional students in 8th grade. We have started the school year before with 2 open seats in 8th grade 2-3 years ago, and a couple years ago, we had 2 open seats in 7th grade. So it's not that it doesn't happen. It's just that, you know, we like to see, we budget, it's 408, it comes down if it's not 408. So, and, you know, I've been sending a push out, and I can talk a little bit about it with the community update, but I've really sent that push. Susan and I talked about it. I know I've talked with some board members too. Zach, I talked to them, but really letting people know that the beginning of the year is so important for us financially in terms of our ADM and making sure that students' bottoms are in the seats that they own. And when someone is not here, as soon as we do not start getting paid until their first day. We do not, it impacts us tremendously because it's a percentage based on them being here from the very first day. So those first 20 days are critical for us. And so I'm the North Carolina Office of Charter Schools or Association for Charter Schools did a really great infographic for us, and I put that in the community update, just showing them what kind of impact that has on our finances. So just really letting people know that attendance is important, but those first days are the most important. So, but wanted you to know that as well. And so also just going back to ADM and enrollment, these 3 seats, they don't seem like a lot in the scheme of things of 30 or 408, but it's 3 seats that impact us. So just wanted you to know that. Our wait list and incoming, I've already said that, but just spread the word. If you know of anybody for 8th grade, we have 20 days to bring a student in, but you know it's really hard to bring a student in during that time. So if you know of anybody, and anybody out there that knows, please send them our way. We would be happy to enroll an 8th grader right now. For professional development for this year, we were really the Lifelong Learning Committee worked together with teachers and the coordinators to talk about what do we want to do for this year? Because we had Heidi Mills come last year. We worked on some, you know, inquiry, a lot of inquiry and some unit planning. This year, we are wanting to give teachers the opportunity to do more personalized learning. And what we are doing with some of our professional development funds and grant money is to do let each teacher give each teacher a substitute for the day so that they can take the learning they want to have, whether it's reading a book or going to visit another school or working together as a group on a book or a project, what have you. We are giving them time along with time on the green days that you see on the calendar with your children maybe at home, or you know that we do all that other committee work, and we also do professional development during that time. So we'll be doing that as well. We did have Heidi Mills come again. We don't want to see professional development just end after 1 year. We like to think that we have a partnership and we continue that work throughout. She did come during our first 2 days. We had 2 days, yesterday and today, of professional development, and we have another day on Friday. And so she came yesterday via Zoom. She will actually be visiting us this year in the classrooms and working with teachers directly, but she came to talk about rights and responsibilities for our students. And I think everybody really enjoyed it. It gave us a new perspective on how we look at responsive classroom and the work we do with students setting up expectations in the classroom. So I think we're pretty excited about that. Yes. And so, I'm looking through it, sorry. We're also going to use the Green Day time, as I said, to also work on unit planning that we've been working with teachers on, and developing some solid scope and sequences for core subjects and special subjects, and working on PIPs as well. Those are personalized inquiry projects that teachers do for themselves. Lifelong learners that we believe we are. And so we're also going to utilize monthly faculty meetings to dive a little deeper into our social emotional curriculum that we purchased, everyday speech. We'll be doing, you know, some scenarios, looking at mini lessons, that type of thing to get us kind of excited about what we'll be teaching kids in the next month. That's professional development. Any questions about that? Sorry, volunteers and field experiences. So we have a new volunteer protocol. Ben and Susan would be better off talking to you about exactly how it works. But this includes opening, but we just want to make sure you knew this, and this has gone out to families. This includes opening the volunteer form that normally has gone out right at the beginning of the school year. It'll stay open for August and September for the first round, and then it closes. And then we don't open it back up until January. So we're really encouraging families through a community update, that type of thing, to get their volunteer approval going and done before the end of September. Teachers are going to work with us on that too, because we don't want anything left out, but we really want to begin to follow this process. Because it's pretty chaotic in the past when we've waited till the last minute, or people are trying to get in, and it just should be so much more organized. So that's our goal this year, is to be organized. And we want teachers to be able to plan on volunteers for the experiences that they're giving to students, and also being allowed to be in the classrooms, that type of thing, for more work that they can do with our kids. Any questions on that? For our weekly communication, we just have one link right now. I did just put one in last week on Wednesday, just haven't updated it, so I'll take care of that for you all next week. And PCN, the Parent Collaborative Network, we will begin our school year with our first meeting on 9/17 at 3:30. We're going to be offering in-person and Zoom options again for our PCN. And we'll be focusing on our strategic plan and opportunities for outreach throughout the year. Partnership. So the CFCI partnership is ready to start the new year. They're actually providing lunch for all the teachers on Thursday, teachers and faculty staff, and just already welcoming and getting back in the swing of things for our teachers and faculty and staff. Sorry. And they'll be here for open house. We have our open house on Thursday. We're doing a new parent meeting this time around. We had some feedback last year that our new parents felt a little lost. They get great information from the teachers, but overall, where do I park? Where do I go? How do I get in? What's the drop-off situation? What's the pickup situation? So we're doing before our open house, which starts at 5:30, we're doing a 4:30 kind of meet and greet and question and answer meeting for them. And then like I said, open house is on Thursday, and then we start back up at school on Tuesday, the 22nd. We're all very excited for that. Our partnership board members for this year include Joanna Henderson is the chair, vice chair is Aaron Firth, treasurer is Felicia Brown, and secretary is Anna Bernay. So we're happy to have all of them involved with that great group.
I've got cool t-shirts lined up.
There you go.
Nice.
I've heard pink. I've heard
Tie-dye.
pastel. Yeah. So, and for assessments, the release of the school report card will happen August 14th. So we did receive that report card. We were a little concerned, but we feel like we've got a lot of great plans in place. We are a C school, so we haven't changed. But we haven't grown. So that's our goal this year, is to grow our kids and make sure that we grow in terms of our report card. But the good, the bad, we're C. Orientation of new staff and faculty. We had 12 new employees join us for training on Wednesday, August 9th. And the day was full of lots of great opportunities. We got to know everyone really well, and they got to know us and our protocols and policies, and know a little bit about our mission and vision and who we are. And that was great. And so we have opening days. We were officially back in the building Friday, August 11th. Teachers have the opportunity to do safe schools training It was an undesignated workday, so some came in and some did that from home. The week of August 14th, we had 2 days, yesterday, today, and we have a day Friday. They have 2 undesignated workdays on Wednesday and Thursday this week, and then another one on Monday, and then we start back to school on Tuesday next week. And then field trips, just to kind of give you a heads up for what's coming up, because you'll be hearing about them and you'll be getting some approvals. We need to give some approvals. We've got the middle grades retreat to Betsy Jensen Center, 4-H Center, September 12th to the 14th. And then in the spring, we'll have the Washington DC trip for 8th grade and the Williamsburg trip for 5th grade. So those are some things that'll come up. You'll be hearing about those other trips within the next month or 2 at the latest, because we need to
You have
get
dates already?
Great, I've got some on the
Email.
calendar, but yeah, if you want to say what they are, that's fine.
Wednesday,
But I
Thursday,
decided
Friday,
this.
2nd, 3rd, and 4th of May.
I'll email it to you as well.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I think I have it on the calendar. And that's it. That's all I have. Any questions? It's getting dark in here. It's like the sun is setting.
Okay, the only thing from the executive committee is just a reminder that if we get around enrollment, to check your emails regularly and respond as requested. A little bit of a snafu a couple of times, so just appreciate if you check your emails and get back to us. Other than that, anything else that anybody?
Can I ask just a quick question? Are we talking about the position, the board chair? Is that a temp, right? Did we discuss that, that Amy and Dana, we got a chair? I thought we talked about it before as a temp. Is it temporary? Are we making those permanent? How are we did that? We voted on everything in June. That's what happens when you miss a meeting.
It's all right.
The
Yeah.
temporary piece.
Did we make a
that
mistake?
Nancy-
That was
May.
Crazy Town was awaiting me. I had to
That
get
that
the-
was when Stephen Hill vacated his position
Gotcha.
early, and they had to make a temporary move and then
Got
the permanent.
No worries,
But we prefer king and queen.
Truly.
So-
Yeah.
Mental note made.
We expect.
Yeah, we're gonna add t-shirts too, t-shirts.
Lord Didi. Dr. Dan.
All right, so a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion to adjourn approved.
Thank you.
Peace out.
I know.